Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshak if you want to call me by my in-game name. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the top 5 budget decks that you can make with roughly 2,000 dust or less. All of the decks actually, I think, cost less than 2,000 besides the last one, which is, I think, 2,100. So they're very, very cheap decks to build, one of which actually took me to Legend this season to prove that, you know, even if you don't have any of the new cards, no legendaries and no epics, you can still hit legend. And well, when we show off the deck, I'll post a little clip in there for us. But the first deck we're going to talk about is going to be the Zoo Warlock, which is actually a really nice, clean cut, beginner friendly, I don't want to say easy deck to play, but it teaches you a lot of fundamentals of the game of, do you develop, do you tap, do you attack, do you go face. And the games are pretty quick. The deck is cheap, as you can see, 1,400 dust here, and very good deck. And it doesn't really get punished by a whole lot, because each game, most of the time, you're going to be able to play a minion on 1, you know, minion on 2, minion on 3, or 2 minions on 3, or maybe 1 minion on 3, and you use your hero power. So what makes this deck so strong is the fact that you're basically, like I mentioned, be able to play a minion almost on every turn. And when you continuously play minions, your hand size gets smaller, but luckily for you, this is Warlock, so you have the hero power ability to be able to pay 2 life, draw an additional card, and then through there you're basically killing yourself, but you're keeping the fuel going by, you know, continuously drawing minions. Towards the middle of the game is where this particular deck tapers out. Unfortunately, it finishes off with the Despicable Dreadlord, which is fantastic against Paladin. Paladin's really popular right now. Doomguard, which is just a great card in general, and Fungal Mancer for your smaller minions. So you kind of have, like, on turn 5, you have the ability to buff minions on the floor. You can, you know, decide you want to clear off enemy minions, or you can go ahead and charge in for face. A couple key notes about this deck, though, is it doesn't actually have Gul'dan in it, which is one of the most powerful cards in this deck. Again, these are budget-based decks, so if you go, hey, Rob, why didn't you include this card? It's probably because that card is either an epic or a legendary, and it would increase the dust count to a point where it's no longer a budget-based deck. And all of these decks are supposed to be for those newer players. You know, what decks can they build within the first couple days of playing this game? And this is basically where these decks lie. You know, as you obtain more cards, you'll be able to increase your collection, making these decks more powerful. And then the next question comes with, all right, the next question that is asked is, hey, Rob, you know, I have this, or this card, or what's the next improvement you would do to this deck? From there, guys, take these decks and look at the decks that I play on ladder on our road to legend, our deck testing. And basically that's the next step up, is the decks that we play on ladder after this. So if you're questioning, you know, what do I do with the Zoo deck, you know, you look at, see if I have any Zoo videos, which I do. You type in the word Zoo, or you type in Warlock, and then it'll pop up the video, the deck list there, and you're like, okay, there's 5 different cards here, and then you scale to which card you want the most, and you start, you know, changing and fiddling with things. So again, pretty straightforward Zoo deck here. Again, budget decks can't really do anything too crazy, but the deck, the point is, the foundation of the deck is there. It does what it's supposed to do. Whether or not it has the best drapes, or, you know, it has the best carpets, you know, you got nice, like, you know, layover on your furniture, all of that is just kind of flashy extra. The core of the deck is still intact. So this is actually the deck that we were able to hit legend with, the mid-range budget hunter. 1,400 dust, no epics, no legendaries, no new cards. Very powerful deck. It doesn't really look like it's that powerful, but this deck slaughters, guys. And I actually had a few people like, hey, Rob, you know, I see that you played this deck from rank 5 to legend with like a 65% win rate, but, you know, I'm really having trouble with it at rank 15 or rank 10 or rank 20 or wherever. Like, it doesn't work at this rank. Let me tell you, the deck will work. If this deck can hit legend or rank, you know, do well in rank 5 through legend, the deck can do well at rank 15, rank 20, rank 10. It's basically, you know, sometimes you have a bad day. Maybe you're not playing the deck correctly. Maybe, you know, you're facing a lot of decks that this particular deck doesn't go well against. So, you know, that particular time or day, the deck isn't performing well because it's just you're getting a lot of bad matchups. But overall, the deck has proven that it's very good for the price that it costs. Well, actually, let me throw in the clip there so you guys can Pixar didn't happen. Budget Hunter! I know we can do it! So what makes this deck so powerful is the fact that each turn you're able to do something that's either very powerful for the turn that you're playing it, or it's setting up for a future turn, so you can actually have like an explosive turn. So first, you know, turn 1/2, you get Candle Shot, Dire Mole tracking, so you either can play a minion, play a weapon, or look for minion and or something to do on turn 2 with the tracking. Tracking also works really well in the later stages of the game when, let's say, you're top decking, you're looking for like a kill command, Unleash the Hounds, maybe a Savannah Highmane, a Spellstone, stuff like that. The tracking is a fantastic card. I wish I actually could fit another one in here, but I'd have to drop out like on a Vicious Fledgling or something, or maybe a secret, and it's really not worth it at the moment. Looking at our 2-drops, again, we have a lot of secrets because, again, we do play the Lesser Emerald Spellstone. I'm glad that the Spellstone is a rare here. It's a very cheap Spellstone, very powerful Spellstone. And Hat Trick is gone, so that's why we're playing 2 Explosive, 2 Freezing, 2 Wandering. Again, knowing when to play each secret is very important. Turn 3, you got the Animal Companion, Eagle Horn Bow, Kill Command, Unleash the Hounds, or Vicious Fledgling. So you got kind of options there. Do you want to expand into weapons? Do you want to play a minion? Do you want to control the board? So you've got quite a few options on turn 3, which is where this deck really spikes out. And then from turn 4 to 5 and 6 is where you kind of just clean up the rest of the game. Whether or not you're Hound Mastering a minion, you're spellbreaking like a Cabal Lackey or a Void Lord, or a buffed minion. You know, your turn 5 is where you always want to start setting up Spellstone. If you could coin out Spellstone, it's great. You don't always have to have 4 secrets, you don't always have to play all 3 of the secrets to get it to summon 4 doggos. If it summons sometimes 3 doggos, that's perfectly fine. 2 doggos, not really recommended, but if you have no other play, 2 doggos is better than no doggos. So a little tip there. And then Savannah Highmane, it's the sickest hunter legendary to ever be released. It's amazing that you're actually able to play 2 of this legendary card. Savannah Highmane is actually so good. And there's always like a rule of thumb. If Savannah Highmane hits your opponent's face at least 1 time, your win rate in that particular situation goes up like it goes up so much there. When you know, Hunter was actually played a couple expansions ago, it was all the casters would always say, if that Savannah Highmane makes contact with the opponent's face, the game is almost sealed up there, folks. So the next deck we're going to take a look at is the Tempo Mage. It actually did lose a reasonable amount this expansion, but it's still good enough to play, which is fantastic for those of you who enjoy the Mage class. And of course, Tempo Mage, it even got more aggressive. Actually, I have no idea why Cinderstorm is under a 5 mana card. I'm just now looking at that. That's wrong. Cinderstorm is actually a 3 mana card, but it's appearing into the 5 mana slot. So I don't know what the hell's going on there, but just keep in mind that is a 3 mana card. So this deck, again, curves out very, very early. Mana Worm, Arcane Missiles on 1. Normally, you want a Mana Worm. If not, coin into maybe a 2-drop like our Arcanologist. The sickest curve currently still Tempo Mage has is the Mana Worm, Arcanologist, Kirin Tor Mage into Secret, into like turn 4 Fireball, Polymorph, or Vex Crow. Super sick. Sorcerer Apprentice, weave that in somewhere, get your cheap spells in. But the deck is, I don't want to say, it's like a mixture between like a zoo, because you're still playing very good statted minions with good abilities, but you also have the ability to do a lot of face damage. So this deck kind of revolves around 1/3 minions, 2/3 spells, and those spells in the early game can be used to control the board. So if your opponent plays like a Flame Imp or another Mana Worm, a Sorcerer's Apprentice, depending on who you're playing against, you know, they're 1/3 Northshire Cleric, you know, they're powerful early game minions. You use your Frost Bolts and stuff like that, your Arcane Missiles, to maybe try to clear those up. But towards the later stages of the game, when this deck really runs out of minions, you know, you're heading into turn 5, 6, 7, and most of those spells, you no longer care about the board, you mostly go face. You have to know when the clock is from when to, all right, I've lost the board, or I don't care about the board anymore, it's time to go face. This deck actually does have an epic in it, and that would be the Primordial Glyph. I know that puts this deck at still a little bit more expensive at 1900 dust range, but again, still lower than 2000. And the Primordial Glyph actually works well in a lot of different Mage decks. So when I pick out a card, guys, that may be more expensive, like the Primordial Glyph or Spiteful Summoner, which we'll get to in a little bit, those cards can actually be used in a variety of other decks that are also still good. So I try when building a deck to give you cards, if they are more expensive, that fit into other decks that, again, help you further build your collection to be able to build, like okay, I have Spiteful Summoner here, I can put that in this deck over here, and you know, it wasn't epic, but I was able to get 2 or 3 decks out of this single card, which is, again, trying to maximize your dust, your collection, your time, guys. It's very important to me that you kind of get the best bang from your buck, because obviously you're watching a budget-based video, so you're trying to learn and gather as much information as possible. So with that, again, this mage deck is actually missing the Alunith, which is the legendary mage weapon. I would love to put that card in here, but unfortunately, again, budget based. So again, guys, if you have, you know, those really good legendary minions or weapons for that particular class, of course you'd want to exchange. You don't, like, if you have the legendary mage weapon, you definitely don't want to play, let's say, like the polymorph in this deck, or maybe the frozen clone. You'd rather have that legendary weapon in there rather than those cards, of course. So moving to an extremely popular kind of deck, that's going to be the Spiteful Summoner Priest deck, with like sort of like a dragon package in there. Spiteful Summoner is found in a bunch of different decks like Druid, Priest. It's sometimes found in Warlock and Mage, but mostly Druid and Priest at the moment. And the reason being is it pulls Mind Control or Free from Amber, allowing you to basically generate a free giant minion alongside of the Spiteful Summoner, which is already a 4/4, not too big, but it's the minion that it summons is what's important. And actually the spells that you play in the deck, the only two spells, are good on their own. So you're playing good spells in the deck, and it has the chance to pull a giant minion, which makes this deck really, really powerful on turn 6 or turn 5 if you have coin, which is where your power spike comes from. But until that point, you have a really sick curve with this deck. Maybe not so much on turn 1. Northshire Cleric is still a sick card to play on turn 1, but turn 2, you know, you got the option between Acidic Swamp Ooze if you're playing maybe like a Paladin, Rogue, Warrior, Hunter. You know, there's a plethora of decks right now that run weapons that you want to get rid of. So having 2 Oozes, even Warlock, of course, being able to have 2 Oozes, you play one, they're like, oh, it's safe to play my weapon now, and you drop another one. And stat-wise, it's a 3/2. It's not bad at all. And it's basically, again, budget-based deck. It's a free 3/2 that you get just by playing the game. So it's not like it costs you anything to play 2 Oozes. The Fairy Dragon, again, sort of that dragon package. Shadow Ascendant, a great 2-drop to combo with Northshire Cleric. Squashing in the deck works really well with being able to heal yourself, because there's no spells in this deck like Greater Healing Potion or the Divine. There is actually, I don't think you can play Divine or the Greater Healing Potion anymore. It's just that when you think of healing, it is Greater Healing Potion. But the Divine Hymn, I think it's called, it heals everything for 6. So basically, your Swash Slings allow you to heal your minions or allow you to heal your face. Very versatile card, and plus it has echoes here, be able to play a bunch of them. The Tar Creeper, some really solid 3-drop. I don't think there's anything better in regards to defensive tools at the moment. Dustbreaker is kind of your early game field cleared. Scale Worm, fantastic charge minion, again, Dragon Synergy. Spellbreaker, always good to at least have like 1 silence in your deck at the moment with all the powerful death rattles that are out right now. Twilight Drake, Cobalt Scalebane, and Bone Drake all kind of follow. Again, powerful dragon cards, when used in the early game, can really blow out your opponent. Spiteful Summoner, what is the deck named after? And then after there, you got the Worm Guard, the Free from Amber, and the Mind Control. So not only is this deck really powerful in the early game, it actually can hold its own in the late game, because you're able to Mind Control and Free from Amber, which allows you to generate giant minions. So let's say your opponent's a Warlock or whatever, and they play Void Daddies or Doom Guards. You just take those with Mind Control. Really, really sick. Again, the dust count of this deck is 2,200, so it's a little bit more expensive, but keep in mind the Spiteful Summoners are what makes this deck expensive, but you're able to play them in a bunch of other classes, such as Druid, Warlock, and Mage if you want to build some. We actually have a Spiteful Mage coming out soon. Performed very, very well. A little bit odd, not the normal deck you play Spiteful in, but actually pretty fun. So the last deck that we're actually going to go over is going to be the Rogue deck at 2,100 dust. It's more of like the tempo Rogue, but again, we couldn't really run Prince because Prince is a legendary. So again, I had to replace those with cards like Blink Fox, an Acidic Swamp Ooze, throwing in another Cold Blood, the Armani Berserker, which is a fantastic card at the moment because of the ability of all the 1/1s being played with Paladins. So surprisingly, this deck, not too bad at all. If you don't like the Berserkers, you always can play like cards like Fan of Knives and stuff to be able to clear off 1/1s. It's all dependent. Like you say, hey Rob, you know, you don't have any Fan of Knives and I'm facing a ton of Paladins. Well, throw in some Fan of Knives because you're playing a bunch of Paladins. I kind of made this deck to work for what I was needing it to do at the time against who I was facing. Again, if you don't like if you don't like 1 Fungal Mancer, you can run 2 Fungal Mancer. If you want like 1 Fan of Knives, 1 Fungal Mancer, you can take out a Berserker. Like, there's a leeway within these budget decks depending on who you're going against, right? So don't take these deck lists and just be like, this is the list, it's never going to get any better, because, you know, like I said earlier, depending on the rank you play, depending on who you're playing, the time of day you're playing, the kind of style of player you are, you could, you know, change a couple cards and it actually work better for you you. But the important part is the foundation of the deck, which is what we have here, remains the same. You know, we're playing a minion every turn. We're being able to buff them with cards like Cold Blood, doing big burst damage. We've got huge tempo swings with Backstab, Vile Spine Slayer. We've got the ability to blow someone out with a Vicious Fledgling Scalebane combo. So kind of like the you know, the deck synergies are still there, but you know, you can give or take Fan of Knives, give or take another Fungal Mancer. There's options there, right? You've got the ability to give and take. So with that, that's gonna wrap up our budget video. Again, this deck, I kind of didn't go over the rogue deck a lot, but it performs very, very similar. It's like a mix in between like a zoo and a tempo mage, because you don't have a lot of spells in this deck that go face, but you have spells that you use actually on your minions to make them do more damage. So instead of Cold Blood being like a Frostbolt, it's like a mixture between a Frostbolt and a Fireball you can equip to your creature and deal to your opponent's face, right? You have a Vis, which is kind of, again, in between a Frostbolt and a Fireball. In regards to damage, you get cards like the Shadow Step, which is, you know, allows you to get your minion to be able to do its battle cry over again, like Agent returns to your hand, get the Agent again, you get the Fungal Mancer again, you get the Vile Spine Slayer again. So you have a lot of combos in regards to your own spells, to your own minions, instead of targeting your opponent's minions. And then the zoo factor is because you're basically playing a minion every turn. So again, really cool. We have a variety of budget decks, which is awesome. Normally, sometimes when we do our budget deck videos, all the decks are kind of really similar, but in this I was able to really spread it out, and you get a different flavor for kind of different classes and a different take on that class. And again, picking out cards that are good in other classes as well, which was key here. All right, so with that, if you have any input or thought to any of the decks, or you'd like to add your own that's really working out for you, feel free to extend onto whatever I've said in the comment section below. I'm sure any of the newer players would love to hear what some of you other experienced players have to say. And also, if, you know, I missed out on anything, feel free to add it. So as always, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully these help you, and I'll see you on ladder. As always, I'm Robert Warshak, and happy whatever the hell day it is.